We're back on sports, and I want to say this now. We're going to start off with Eagles-Colts. Let me say this now. The Eagles had a great preseason win, okay? But let's be honest here. There was a number of things that were a problem, that were wrong in that game that need to be fixed. However, we'll play like this. We'll assess it, all right? Our quarterbacks are still a problem. Even though Bradford, he didn't play because we don't know how he's going to be yet, you have to understand that there are a number of plays that were made simply because of wide receivers. Because wide receivers went the extra mile to make sure that these passes were caught. I saw a number of passes from Sanchez, Barkley, and Tebow that were overthrown, overled. It was absolutely ridiculous. But receivers, worked hard to make them look good. So they still ended up catching these balls, even though, let's be honest here, if this is a starting group and you're going up against a high, octane defense, they're not catching those balls. So I'm just letting you know that now. So the receivers, they did a great job, yesterday. And I want to say this as well because everyone was still suspect about our receivers and, I said, who's going to either throw the ball or who they're going to throw it to. And the fact is, we still don't know. But it seems like these young guys really want to make a statement. That doesn't mean that Chip Kelly has the ultimate plan because let's be honest here, that's not what this is about. This is about players making plays today. And I want to say that Matt Barkley, all right, because Sanchez is Sanchez. You knew what you were going to get with Mark Sanchez. And until Sam Bradford plays, I still feel that Sanchez is going to be the starting quarterback of this team until Bradford is clear, and he's healthy and he's ready to play. So I'm not going to rule out Bradford just yet. But the first pass that Mark Sanchez threw, I held my breath. I was like, here we go again. It felt like shades of last season. I was like, here we go again. That's what it felt like. But I want to say that Matt Barkley, out of all three quarterbacks, actually shined, yesterday. And I was very impressed with him due to the fact that if you watch the mechanics of how he threw the ball, it wasn't just how he threw the ball. Okay, I apologize this. It's the timing that he threw the ball. He knew when to throw the ball. He knew when to get rid of it. He knew his awareness. When the pocket collapsed under pressure, he knew exactly what he was doing. And it looked great. The one interception that was thrown, you have to understand, when he threw it, a lineman batted the ball, and he pretty much tipped it, and it bobbled in the air, and, of course, the Colts defense, they caught the ball. That's the only interception, from Matt Barkley. But you have to understand, those type of things happen. You can't hold him accountable for that, all right? You can't. However, it's not like he was staring down a receiver and throwing it right to a guy. You know what I mean? So, Matt Barkley looked great yesterday, and I'll put it like this. Does it mean he's going to be the third stringer? No, it's only one game, okay? And I want to say this now. I found it ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous, that there were so many people watching this game simply to see who was going to be our third string quarterback. That's right. I just don't understand this. Look, Matt Barkley proved a lot yesterday. But like I said, you have to, in NFL, you have to be consistent. Now, I'll put it like this. A lot of us have bagged on Matt Barkley, including yours truly, have said he can't play. USC play, they can't play. You know what I mean? I think he went out there with a chip on his shoulder yesterday, and he proved that, he can run whatever unit they give him. That's all I'm going to say for that day. We will see what happens on Saturday when they play against the Ravens, okay? However, I want to get back to this third-string quarterback controversy, if that's what you want to fucking call it, all right? Because it's absolutely ridiculous that the circus came in town. And what I mean by it is, when Tim Tebow finally gets in the game, the crowd is chanting for Tebow. And Jason Kelce said himself after the game, he said, I've never heard a crowd so loud chant for a third-string quarterback. Ever. That's what he said. Like, it's a fucking circus. There was even people who weren't even fans of the Eagles that were there to cheer on Tebow. I'm sorry, but I'm not trying to hear you ran out and bought a jersey because they signed this guy, all right? And you don't even know if he's going to make the team. You don't, okay? You have no idea what's going to happen because if Matt Barkley keeps putting up those type of numbers and Tebow puts up the numbers he put up, yeah, he's going to get released quick soon or probably put on practice squad. Possibly, all right? But let's be honest here. You cannot come to an Eagles game in Florida Gators gear. No, I'm not trying to hear it, man. I'm not trying. The circus was in town yesterday. It really was. And it was pretty disgusting to see. And the commentators are like, Eagles fans have been anxious to see Tebow play. And I'm like, what? No, actually, no, we're not. We're really not. You're the only person making this shit up. And it's amazing. Beautiful handoff by Tebow. It's a fucking handoff. You understand? It's a handoff. He wasn't disguising anything. It's a handoff. Y'all made it seem like he was trying to throw the ball. This is the analysis I'm talking about. This is is what bothered me so much. Because I knew that the hype train was coming when he got in the game. Now, let's be honest here. When he came to throwing the ball, he had about maybe one or two good throws. The one he threw down the middle was his best throw of the game. Now, mind you, he was in from what? Mid-third quarter all the way to the end of the game? And he did nothing. The pocket would collapse. He didn't know how to get rid of the ball. All right? He tried to extend plays that didn't need to be extended. Now, I say this because when Michael Vick was here and he tried to extend plays, who is 10 times faster than Tim Tebow, the media ate him alive for it. Did he not? He's trying to make a play, trying to be evasive. McNabb used to do it. The media was cool with it because McNabb could get away with it. But Vick, he didn't really get away with it much. And they kept jumping on him. He's holding the ball longer than 7 seconds, blah, blah. You notice when Tim Tebow did it, they didn't say a damn thing. Not one thing. It's amazing. Until about fourth quarter. Then they said something. Like late in the fourth quarter, they said something. But by then, defense had already did their job. I will put it like this. There was one time where Tim Tebow ran backwards so damn much, he ended up, it was a 4th and 18 because he kept scrambling and running backwards. Get rid of the ball or take the sack when you know you're caught. That's all you have to do. You can't make a play on everything. And Skip Bayless talks about how this was a great outing for Tim Tebow. He ran in for a touchdown. Let me tell you something about Tim Tebow and his touchdown, okay? If it wasn't for the defense getting no stops, and then, getting no stops in the Colts red zone, Tim Tebow wouldn't have got the chance to run the ball in. Did you notice the series of plays when he actually scored that touchdown? All of them were runs. He didn't throw the ball not once. He handed off the ball 3 times, and then, halfback option. I shouldn't say halfback option. As you know, wildcat or whatever the hell you want to call it. And everyone said yesterday he would make a good fullback. And we've been Eagles fans. Have we not been saying this guy could play at a different position for a very long time? But he refuses to play in that position because he wants to be a quarterback. We keep talking about this, and I still find it selfish. However, the commentators yesterday said, that's why we're cheering him on because he's destined to be a quarterback. No, it just means you're fucking selfish. That's all it means. Number of players have changed. It pisses me off so much. But the fact is, Tim Tebow did nothing. Absolutely nothing. And he got more praise than Matt Barkley. That's pathetic. I don't care what he is, what his name, what hype he brings, he generates. If he cannot perform, then it doesn't matter, man. This is about winning. This is about a team, not about one guy. If people on defense, if our defense is depleted during the season and we can't stop anyone, do you think Tim Tebow can save us? No. And I'm getting real sick and tired of hearing this shit now. Because it's all I saw yesterday. It's absolutely ridiculous. But if you need more proof on the performance of both quarterbacks when it comes to Matt Barkley and Tim Tebow, here are the stats. As you can see, round 1, I'll say game 1, round 1, goes to Matt Barkley. He was more sharp. He had more pass attempts. Why? Because the coaches trust him, because of the way he was playing. When Tim Tebow gets more confident, if he does, gets more confident, maybe on Saturday, maybe he'll get some more pass attempts. But until then, it goes to Matt Barkley. Like I said, it's only one game. We'll go to game 2 on Saturday, and we will see what happens, all right? Because that's the only way you're going to be able to judge these type of things. Like I said, people are playing for spots. Preseason football, I see so many people talk about how preseason football isn't worth it, and, all I'm waiting for is the regular season. Preseason football, just like NBA Summer League, it's where it's at. Because everybody is fighting for a spot. So they're going to play as hard as possible. And it seems like people don't understand that. And speaking playing as hard as possible, my game ball goes to defense. That's right, defense. Secondary, you didn't look great in I'll say the first quarter. Second quarter, you picked it up a little bit. You know what I mean? It was still suspect. After second half adjustments, especially down in the fourth, you guys, safety over the top, 2 interceptions. Seriously, Reynolds. Yeah. You know what I mean? They put pressure on the quarterback. They were getting to the quarterback, getting sacks. They almost got a safety. Like I said, if it wasn't for the defense, Tim Tebow wouldn't have had the chance to score because the defense gave them good field position. And also an honorable mention to the special teams, especially at the end of the first half. It was really great. So, like I said, even though it was an overall good win for the Eagles, as you can see, lots of work that still needs to be put on to see what they're going to do against the Ravens. Because the Ravens are a little bit more tougher than the Colts when it comes to, their preseason. If you look at their roster, I'm saying from players who are trying to make it. You can't hang that all on the Colts and say they suck, because let's be honest here, all right? Didn't have all their starters in. Trent Cole was just sitting on the side like, all right? You know what I mean? Like, we don't know. So, like I said, at this point, it's a great win. Everybody should feel good. For those who didn't see after the game, because they were filming a little bit after the game when the game was over, fans are in the stands partying and taking pictures and smiling. And I want to stress this because of the fact of what they said about Eagles last week, about how the most depressing team and the fan base and all that. Nobody looked depressed that day. Nobody. All good vibes, it seemed. It's pretty pathetic they would do that. But like I said, the circus is in town, and it does need to stop as fast as possible. If Tim Tebow makes his team, more power to him, because he earned the spot. I'm not trying to hear that his fucking hype is going to earn him a spot. Not with those type of numbers. No. Now, if you want to put him in a different position, and he's okay with it, I'm for that as well. Because he can be a valuable asset if you use him in the right plays. But if he's going to sit here and say this whole, I'm still a quarterback, take me or leave me, well then you can go. It's that simple. But speaking of people who need to go because the circus is in town, even though I'm jumping all over, Tebow Mania fans and carrying on, let's talk about one Philly's own Meek Mills, as he does. This is a fucking no-no, if you ask me. There's no way in hell you should be allowed back in Philly after pulling this bullshit. You gonna throw up the X for Dez Bryant, huh? Cowboys, that's what you gonna do? Meek Mill looks bad enough you already lost the fucking Drake. Now you pulling this shit? Let me tell you something, alright? There's only one Philly cat who throw the X up here. And you should know that X stands for the executioner. It seems like some of these cats need to learn their history, especially Philly history, before they try to rep Philly as far as I'm concerned. But I want to move on to more football, and I'm talking about overseas. That's right. Before I even get started, let's just start off right now with the Griffin Force Flop of the Week, shall we? That's right, because we're going right back to football overseas. Tell me, why? Why? Why are you doing this? Clearly, there's no way you can get around this, and as far as I'm concerned, you should be kicked out of the league. Could at least make it look realistic. Don't sit here and tell me that. Just stop. Try harder. You know what? Matter of fact, teams that need to try harder, fucking Chelsea. Do not tell me, after what happened yesterday against Man City, and people, they were telling me all week, Man City's going to kill you. Man City's going to kill Chelsea. And you know what? They killed Chelsea. I don't understand this. Look. All right? I told you before about the flow of the way the game is going as of late. And we are seeing more action-packed play from Chelsea. But you're not seeing as much defense. And that's what's fucking killing you. Defense. Look, I understand Mourinho's going to say, hey, it's either one way or the other. That's what it's pretty much saying. We can either be a whole, a defensive team and play counter and it'd be boring, or we can take the aggressive route and we can't get back in time. In order to be an elite team, to be a full team, you should be able to attack and defend. Balance. That's all you got to do. But it seems like Chelsea can't do that. No. So you got stomped 3-0 by Man City. And here's the thing, all right? It could have been a lot worse because Man City had a lot of chances in the first half. This could have been easily 5-6-0. Easily. They got lucky that they only lost 3-0 as far as I'm concerned. And here's the thing I want to talk about. Injuries. That's right. You got one of our players who gets hit so hard in the nose, all right? It's bleeding all over the place. They have to have the medical crew come out. You had Diego Costa got elbowed in the back of his head. He's bleeding. He wants to fight. Was it at the half? The players got to restrain him because he's going to go after the guy in the tunnel. And the entire time I'm thinking with these injuries, it's what Mourinho did throughout the week. Now, for those who don't know what happened with Jose Mourinho throughout the week, he criticized last week. He criticized the medical staff. And he benched them. That's right. He was like, you're not going to be in the dugout this time. You're not going to be on the bench. You are pretty much dismissed. And he was going to bring in other people because of the decision they made to treat other players last week. That's right. So it's absolutely mind-boggling what he was fucking thinking. And the press conference, like I said, I'll put it in the info bar for five press conference. But since this has happened, since these injuries yesterday happened, I'm just thinking to myself, you look like a fucking asshole, Mourinho. You really do. And for those who don't know what's going on as of late with that situation, all right, after, he criticized the medical staff, Jose Mourinho stands firm at Chelsea and won't reinstate Eva Carneiro, but she may sue and wants an apology from the manager. There's more. Yes, there's more. All right. Eva Carneiro will not be in the dugout for Chelsea's next game against Man City. It says she will remain as a first-team doctor, but will no longer attend games. Mind you, Mourinho said in his press conference that he said that he may bring her back, but he's not sure. He's not writing her off completely. However, there's more. All right. Jose Mourinho vented anger at Chelsea medical team after the Swansea clash. Sportsmail understands incident at Stamford Bridge at Saturday was not the first time Mourinho and Carneiro have clashed. So this is not the first time. Mind you, last year, remember, she got a lot of flack from other footballers, their club, their fans, and they were harassing her, remember, and they tried to play the sexual harassment angle. There's more, all right? And everyone was saying at the time it was only a smokescreen for poor play. And that's what this seemed like at first. Mourinho was just having a smokescreen for the players' poor play against Swansea. But there's more, okay? It says the Premier League doctors group have defended Carneiro. It says she wants a public apology and legal advice with a view to possibly suing. Members of Chelsea hierarchy were left stunned by Mourinho's criticism, and owner Roman Abramovich is said to be furious with the Portuguese boss. Now, mind you, this is from the Daily Mail, so people in the UK, if it's not a viable source, let me know, okay? I just need to know that. But this is what I have so far, and this is what's being said. There's talks of her being suing us for sexual harassment, things of that nature. This is just a powder keg. That's what the fuck this is. Mourinho should know better. And yet, this came back to bite him in the ass. Chelsea looked horrible. You have to have more guys in your rotation if you want to win. There is no way in hell you can win. Right now, you look like shit. Let's be honest here. You do. But you can't sit here and keep doing this. The one time you had a chance to score, you have Costa on the left, you got Hazard in the middle, and there's a player all the way on the right, which looked like Willem. I couldn't tell from it. Wasn't sure if it was Willem or Remy. Couldn't tell at the time. And Hazard takes the shot. Mind you, the guy on the right, he is unguarded. I'm like, why are you passing it to him? And he's trying to make something happen. I understand he's trying to make something happen, but this is what I mean about rotations. Because if you have Costa and Hazard, you're focused on those two. That's who you're focused on. You're the other guy sitting around here, unguarded, and you're like, you would think as a good teammate, you would see that awareness, but clearly you don't. But of course you're thinking he's going to take the shot or Costa's going to take the shot, given what they can do. Because it's too obvious. That's why. I just don't understand what the... Yeah. It's pathetic. It's really pathetic. Chelsea, you have a lot of nerve. You have a lot of... Mourinho has to get this together. I'm not trying to hear, well, it's early in the season, things of that nature. Have you seen the way other teams played? Have you seen it? Leicester City, I have to give them credit. They're just on a roll. They've taken that fire that they had late in the season, last season, and they brought it this season in the beginning. It's crazy. However, I will say that they had a little gift. And I put it like this, because even though I felt Leicester City was still going to win their game, there was a bit of controversy at the end of close to the end of their game. When the opposing team got a red card for no reason. This referee, and the thing is, this referee made a number of bad decisions throughout the game, and then you cost it's way too close to make this type of call. I'll let you see, and I'll let you judge to see if this was purposely, because he got a red card. I felt it was a yellow card, okay? Felt it was a yellow card. But this referee tried to say that it was intentional and gave this person the red card.
And he's got the thumbs up from Slaven Bilic. The goalkeeper is going into the Leicester City penalty area to make his presence felt. Reed is bundled over, and Adrian with the hasty attempt to try and get the ball back into the Leicester penalty area. He's going to pick up a yellow card. It's a red, it's a straight red for the West Ham United goalkeeper. Dangerous play, and West Ham's goalkeeper has been dismissed.
Well, I think that's a crazy decision. How does he know he's even there? He's trying to get the ball back. He doesn't even see him out the corner of his eye. He's trying to get the ball and he sent him off. Now, he's made a poor decision in the first half there, Anthony Taylor, with the penalty decision. And that's a poor decision for me. The yellow card, yes. Intentional, no, not for me. Ball comes out and he's got to retreat. All of a sudden he's thinking, I've got to go back to my own goal. He doesn't even see him. Look, doesn't even see him. He's trying to get the ball. Yes, it's gone into his chest, but doesn't even see him to the last moment.
With a +3 time and West Ham down by 1 and are threatening to score, you make that call? That is absolutely ridiculous. There's no way you can make that call and justify it. You can't. There's just no way. Clearly, you can see in the replay, in the slow motion, the guy has his head turned this way. He doesn't turn until he sees where he's kicking the ball. It's a natural motion. He doesn't see the guy in front of him. You've got to be kidding me that you would think that is intentional. That is a bad call. And the fact that this guy's just like, straight red card, and you're off, and no way. If anything, that ruined the game. That ruined not just, and this is what I mean about American sports as opposed to watching sports overseas. If you noticed, the games, the way they are played, high drama. They don't need story that much. They just play and you get sucked into it. That's what it is. But the fact that the ref would make that is absolutely atrocious. You know what? Let's talk about more. This should be a blame that ref, shouldn't it? You know what? I have another one for you for blame that ref. Let's talk boxing. Because I want to show you this video, okay? When I was watching the Premier Boxing Champions over the weekend, clearly this guy is knocked down. I want you to pay attention to the ref, all right? When he asked the guy, is he okay? And the guy says, no, I'm not okay. And yet he still lets him fight.
Bute born 10 days after that U.S. win over his home country of Romania.
Bute got caught with a nice left hook and comes back with his own nice left hand right there. Everyone was saying that he's really started to loosen up here, Kenny, and you saw the effects of that powerful left hand by Bute.
Revolution back on his feet.
Too much time. This should be over.
Bute with a big left hook. He's in trouble. And his corner throws in the towel.
Ref asks if that guy's okay. His hands aren't even up. He's nodding no. He says no. Now, mind you, when a ref checks your gloves have to be up here. If you notice in the video, he's still down to his waist. He does not know where he's at. He's saying no, and yet you make him keep fighting. No, the fight is over. And I want to say this right now. Shout out to Lucien Bute, because that was a beautiful punch. You know what I mean? And then to finish it the way he finished it, then to throw in the towel, which if you ask me, it was just, the fight should have been over right then and there. You know what I mean? But that's just insult to injury, the fact that they throw in the towel. And, you know what I mean? Of course, yeah, he's celebrating. He has every right. He's the winning boxer. But that referee did a horrible job and put that guy in danger as far as I'm concerned. But speaking of danger, I want to talk about boxing a little bit more. All right? Actually, we're going to talk about boxing and then MMA, okay? Because that's some things that we need to talk about, okay? When it comes to boxing, you should know how to hold your hands, okay? That's the number one thing a trainer teaches you, how to hold your hands. You do not hold your hands like this, okay? And stick your head forward like this when fighting. Do you understand that? And for those who have never boxed or has ever been in a fight in your life, you should know this is not the way to fight. Pretty much crowning forward and putting your hands like this. Why? Because you will get knocked the fuck out every fucking time.
Just fighting on heart.
Oh, down he goes again. Shaking his head no towards his corner.
4, 5, 6.
They should stop it.
The referee sees to stop it. Now you can tell he's leading in with his head, and Caleb Plant's going to tee off on him again.
Round of the 3 knockdown rule is in effect. Sarah has gone down twice in this first round. Oh, down again. And that will do it. So he flew 9 hours from Budapest, Hungary on Thursday, and he lasts just over 2 minutes.
Kenny.
The only thing that guy did right, and to strengthen what I said earlier, is when the ref was asking, was he okay, what did he do? He put his hands up. Did he not? But then again, he kept his hands up here the whole time, didn't he? And just tried to slip. He tried to bob and weave and slip, and because what he's trying to do is, when you throw that punch, he slips, and he wants to throw the straight or the jab. That's why he's like that, when he's crunched over like that. But you cannot keep your head forward like that. It's not working, all right? It's not. That's number one rule. You do not hold your hands like that when you were fighting. And the thing is, whoever trained this guy, now it's not even just the fact that that's how they trained the guy, but the fact that he got this far and was put on national TV. That tells me something. This was a tune-up fight as far as I'm concerned. You can't tell me that guy went in there thinking that he was going to win. That's an ass-kicking for the age as far as I mean, it's simple technique. If you can't get the simple technique down, you shouldn't even be in the ring. You should still be outside the ring at a boxing club, shadow boxing somewhere, and working on your form. You're not even hitting the ring yet. You know what you're doing? You're taking the hand weights or weighted gloves, and you're getting your form right, and you're getting your rhythm in first. That's what you're doing. You're holding your hands like this. That's how you hold your hands. Some people hold their hand like this, so when they throw that punch, they can roll off with the shoulder and fire back. That's what they do. Majority of traditional boxing, they fight like this. You may see some people in defense, such like George Foreman, who block like this, which if you ask me is still, I still don't like that. I would rather keep the hands up. If you go high, you always keep them here. High here, if they try to hit you in your ribs, all you do is rock side to side. That's where slipping comes in. That's when you can start moving like this. That's where it comes from. But you keep those gloves up. Anyone who needs more, more reference, if you saw over the weekend, Antonio Tarver versus Cunningham, when Cunningham fought Tarver, Cunningham had his hands up the entire time like this. Why? Because that's where it was. And the fight went to a draw. But Cunningham had his hands up every time like this. So when Tarver couldn't get a quick pop shot in, what happened? Glove. Glove. You don't get no points for that. Shoulder. Shoulder. You don't get no points for that. Elbow. Elbow. You don't get no points for that. All right? Do you understand what I'm saying? So when this guy comes forward like this, yeah, you're going to get knocked the fuck out. Why? Because you're leaving all this open and you can get shot right there every time, especially if the guy's faster than you. Makes no sense. This is not really a solid guard. It's not. Because your guard doesn't come just from your hands. Because if you're guarding like this, your strength is coming from your wrist. And that's not strong enough. When you have a guard like this, where does it come from? It comes from your arm. It comes from your elbow to your forearm. From your shoulder, everything's in motion, so you're just moving. That's how your guard comes. Like I said, unless you're fighting like this, that's a whole different story. You're doing like this. If you're fast enough, you may get caught this. If you're not fast enough, you may get caught on this side. But also understand, when you're throwing that one punch, you're going to roll. You see Floyd do it all the time. Like I said, there is a difference. So people understand that this guy had no business being in the ring. If anything, he needs to be retooled, and he needs to learn how to fight. That's how I feel. It makes me mad to see guys who don't know how to hold their hands, and they get on TV and get blown up. They just get blown up completely. It's absolutely ridiculous. But I want to move on about more fighting. Like I said, I want to talk about UFC. We have some serious things to talk about today. I'm sure you already seen in the header. Wanderlei Silva, that's right, Randy, comes out and says that the UFC fixes fights. That's right. That's what he comes out and says. And says that he has proof that UFC fixes fights. Now, with that being said, the UFC said, provide your proof, right? And so far, we haven't seen any proof. And because we haven't seen any proof yet, the UFC has decided to sue Silva for his statements. That's right. But you know what? He's not the only person who feels as though the fights are fixed. Because Tito Ortiz comes out. He just had, not too long ago, a great Q&A with fans. And I'll put the entire Q&A in the info bar for you. But even he says he feels as though the fights are fixed at UFC.
And are they talking about fixed fights? I don't know. I agree with him because I kicked Forrest's ass the third time we fought. I knocked him down 3 times. I took him down 4 times. I gave him an ass whipping. And for the first time, people go back and check that fight out. For the first time in UFC history, they give strikes attempted. They credit him for that. Strikes attempted. What the fuck is strikes attempted? So if Wanderlei talks about fixed fights, possibly. That was a fixed fight. I kicked his ass. Come on, go score that fight. Tell me if Forrest won that. Turn off the audio. Don't listen to Joe Rogan. Don't listen to the bullshit he has to say. Turn off the audio and watch that fight again. I knocked him down. I broke his jaw. Come on. I broke my fist on his jaw. Took him down every round. Dropped him twice. Yeah, strikes attempted his airballs.
That is a major accusation. You know what I mean? When it comes to fights, fixing fights, I mean, seriously, this is something that could, like, if Silva really does have proof, this could really damage the UFC. It could. And with Tito Ortiz now saying that he agrees, and you gotta think, he's a legend let's be honest here. You got to respect Tito Ortiz because of what he has done in the past. Same way you have to respect Ken Shamrock and Chuck Liddell and all these guys from the past who have done this. And some of them are like Tito Ortiz. He's still doing it. But you have to understand, they have been through that. And they know, what it feels like. Now, also, I want people to understand something because throughout this Q&A, like I said, it's a great Q&A. There was also another part that I felt was more important. And this is something that we really need to talk about because this is something that every other organization, every other organization has, but fighting really. In the UFC, you know what? He brings up a really good point about this. I just want you to listen to what he has to say about concussions and why there isn't a fighters union.
How many concussions have I had in my career? Wow. I'd say about 4, I think. 4 that I remember at least. And they're all from training. All of them from training. What's stopping fighters to form a union? No one has enough balls to step up and make it happen. They're all scared.
All right, let's start with concussions, okay? Because concussions are a serious thing. Now, you have to understand, for those who don't know the science of being punched in the face, for someone who gets punched in the face every other day, all right? Concussions, every time you get hit, it's almost like your brain is slamming into the back of your skull, okay? Depending on how hard the person hits you, it could be even worse. Now, with concussions, I, so far, luckily did not have a concussion when it comes to fighting. Now, when I played football, yeah, I had a couple of concussions. You know what I mean? This is before everyone was so worried about helmet to helmet. You know what I mean? When I played football. So, yeah, I know how that feels. Concussions suck. They do. They really do impair your judgment at times. And like he said, he had 4 as much as he could remember. So he may have had more and just can't remember them. Because sometimes when you have concussions, you can have memory loss. If you don't believe me, go back and look you can look today and look at Jim McMahon. And you can tell he does not know where he's at. Ever. It's kind of sad to see a number of football players. But, like I said, those are the type of things that you deal with. Now, granted, you signed up to do this sport, but there still has to be some type of health, measurement for fighters. You have to understand when it comes to fighting, when it comes to pro wrestling, when it comes to sports in general, and any type of pro level, they are hard. Athletes in general are hard to insure because they're always hurt. So their insurance premiums are very high, okay? So you have to understand, number one, not to mention, I think next week we'll talk about actually athletes and how much they get taken out of taxes and things of that nature. Maybe we'll talk about that next week. So you can do the math, you know what I mean, add up as opposed to paying insurance and things of that nature. Okay? So, I just feel it's really sad to see that when you are competing at this level, and you have to understand, sometimes fighting, and I'll say this now, for those who did not see the documentary Champs on Netflix, please watch it. Please, it's about boxing, but it's about the ins and outs of how fighting saved a lot of people because they had no choice. Their families were not educated, couldn't read or write, and all they knew how to do was either run fast or fight, and that's all they knew. And then when you get into these programs, and start going pro, you have all these sharks coming around and taking your money. You have these accountants, and you have it's a huge, huge weight that's on you. You don't understand what's going on because you don't have any mentors to let you know what's going on. Especially when you're getting punched in the fucking head, you know what I mean, and you can't think straight. So, it's interesting that, which will bring me on to the next topic, what Tito Ortiz said. It's interesting that he would talk about how there's not a fighters union. Now, as you know, in any workplace, all right, there's a lot of places that don't like unions because they don't want you to have control. I mean, you can look at Best Buy, let's just say, and, they'll say, we don't want any union, and if anyone talks union, let us know who it is because they're going to cut them out. They're going to cut them out of, process. That's what we're going to do. You know what I mean? Same thing with the UFC. If he's saying that no one has the balls to step up and make a union, the first thing came to my mind was, well, you're also admitting that you yourself, Tito Ortiz, don't have the balls to say anything. But I think that's kind of obvious that you would need more support than just him standing on his soapbox. We see a lot of fighters like Nick Diaz who come out and will say whatever they want. The Diaz brothers will say whatever they want about Dana White or whatever. Won't show up to anything. But I wonder how they would feel about a fighters union. I wonder how all fighters would feel about a fighters union so that they're more protected. Because that's something that you need to happen. If you're going to use these guys as your main attraction, your main event, you know what I mean? And they're getting their heads knocked off, damn near. You have to understand, It's hard for me to speak on this issue due to the fact that I think there are a lot of people who don't understand that when you are fighting someone trained, they're not trained to just defend themselves. They are trained to kill. You understand this, right? To neutralize and kill. All right? Could you imagine if there weren't that many guidelines to the UFC and you could kill an opponent? With rear naked chokes, do you know how many people would be dead? Like, it's just, you have to understand that there is a way to apply a choke to knock someone out, and there's a way to apply a choke to kill someone. You know what I mean? Trained fighters aren't the people to mess with. So when it's trained fighter against trained fighter, that is the highest risk that you can go. Even though it may not be as great entertainment-wise as you may think it would be, this fight sucks, or the pace is boring, or they're just not throwing enough punches for me. These guys, like I said, and girls, you have to understand, the reason they feel each other out first in the rounds is so they can get a rhythm and see what they can get away with. It's not about just all out, we're just going to throw bombs and anything. Because I put it like this, people who have been in those type of firefights, I guarantee you, they lost just a little bit of themselves. Everyone loves to credit Forrest Griffin and Stephen Bonner for the fight that they put on, after the Ultimate Fighter that made UFC really a lot of money. I mean, huge. But those guys, yeah, they took a lot of punishment. And for the average person to see that, it's like, oh my God, like these guys are, I would really like to see a fighters union. I would. The players unions, they have them in the NBA and the NFL. I would just put it like this, if you're going to have a union for fighters, just make sure it doesn't get that corrupt. And I say that due to the fact is because if you look at the NFL or the NBA, every time, a player does something wrong or whatever, and they're suspended or whatever, what happens? Here comes the union to say, hey, oh, no, we want to, we want to appeal that for the player, for the safety of the player. No, I'm not trying to hear that. All right? As we know, fighters, we see a number of incidents with them. So could you imagine a fighters union trying to stick up for all of those type of problems like that? That would be a headache. That would be lawsuits on top of lawsuits. If you're going to do a fighters union, it has to be structured in a certain way, and there has to be some integrity, and you have to be strict about it. You have to be. Like I said, I wish that the players union for the NBA, NFL, and NHL, they would be more strict as well. So it's not just throwing it on the UFC or any other MMA, organization at all. I just think as though it's something that people need because you don't want to be taken advantage of. And you have to think, you're the one that's putting all the risk out there. Yes, you have trainers, as you heard. Most of his concussions in training, yeah, because you have to go through those bumps and bruises and concussions before you even get to that level. It happens. But, like I said, you want to make sure that even though those guys are training you, you know what I mean, you're still in good health. It's not just, because all you really see is what? Guys who are ripped, who are shredded, who have been working out, and they're drinking energy drinks, and you think that's all there is to it. Like, no, there's more to it. There's a lot more to it. There is a lot of sacrifice when it comes to training and fighting in any sport. A lot of sacrifice. You give up a lot of yourself. I'm telling you, if you sit and you talk to some of these fighters, they'll tell you, yeah, I'm on this, and we're talking pills-wise just to keep them calm. I'm telling you, there's so much to this. There's a very dark side to fighting. There is. It may be entertaining, but it is a very serious issue. And that's another reason when you see fights that are stopped early, and even though there's times we may say, even myself will say, I feel that was a little premature, it was stopped, it is because of the safety of the opponent, of the fighter. That's what it comes down to. Like I said, they put a lot of risk into things, and they deserve a lot more respect than what they're given. Even you deserve respect just attempting to get in a ring or an octagon. Or if you fight on the mats or whatever, you deserve that respect for having the heart to try, to attempt it. And I don't think that a lot of people understand that. But that's all I got for today. This week, I should say. We'll see what happens. Coming a long time. You know what I mean? Like, this is just something that... It's just sad. I really hope that what Tito Ortiz said, listen, I'll put this... It's an entire 15-minute Q&A with fans online. He did it via Periscope. So, I'll put the entire, video in the info bar. He talks about Ronda Rousey for Cyborg because he trained Cyborg and he wants to see Rousey fight Cyborg. But he still gives her credit for everything she's done. There's just a lot of things being said. And it's really interesting, to hear from Tito Ortiz, who, I put it like this, who opens, if you ask me, opens a door to more conversation because you really don't hear enough fighters talk about these things so calmly. Because, like I said, with Silva, he was just like, I got proof, blah, blah, blah. He's just yelling, and you're like, yo, is he on something? We all know how the axe murderer is. This guy is intense, intensity times 1,000. So you really can't go, you don't know whether it's a bluff or if he's real. But when you have someone like Tito Ortiz who can sit down and just talk about things, very calmly, that is something that you have to, at least I personally, give him respect for. I mean, it really does open a door. And it should open up more conversation amongst fighters as well. Anyways, I'll talk to y'all later. Y'all be safe. I'm out.